Hello, my friends. This is Joe. I am back. So I've been gone for a while. I had to get a new computer, so I'm here. I'm here now. We're going to be here about 20 minutes, and we're going to talk about the proclamation line of 1763 and why all that, and what's the reason for it. And according to my screenshot here, to make sure colonists did not settle west of the Appalachian Mountains. Why was that? So we're going to do a kind of short video here to get me back going. So what was going on in 1763? Why did this happen? Why was the proclamation line created in the first place? Well, let's delve into this a little bit. First thing we got to realize, we have to realize, make sure my video is on and my audio. First you got to realize that at this period of time in 1763, it's beginning early embers of the Declaration of Independence, was only be 13 years away. Britain just ended a war with France, the 7 Years' War. Now, if you look at the map, if you look at the map here, you'll see the proclamation line is really. Little puppy wants me to pet her, so I'll hold it for a minute. This is Elsie. The proclamation line was created at the end of the war between France and Great Britain. And why this happened, like it says on my screen here, they didn't want settlers to settle past the proclamation line of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, why was this? What was the purpose of this? Now, did you want to upset the Indians? Were they in a war with the Spaniards? Were they concerned about going into Spanish territories and Mexican territories? Were they concerned about going into territories or expanding, widening the country? Because here's the thing is, who created the proclamation line? I know it's King George III, but why was it? Now also remember, some years before, many years before, they created the, what do you call it, the Navigation Acts, which in the 16th century, and that dealt with navigation, going to the ports into America, and mainly was East India Company trading and stuff. Now, we have these documents of American history here, and one of the importance about this is was the Crown didn't want to expand into what it didn't know, what it didn't control, because they're concerned about more wars, because they were they had a very big issue with the Spanish-American War. Now, as I said before, people didn't have money at the time. They didn't have cash, green cash. What they had was they traded. You know, look at the early fur traders. Look at the early trappers and explorers. They didn't carry coin, as you would say. Now, I know some had coins, some had small amounts. There's no banks, what you would say. Everything was bartered. Everything was traded. You know, who used money on the open trail on the prairie? Not too many people. But one important thing you got to realize, that to expand the colonists, the subjects colonists, as they would call them, were not able to travel because what was out there. There was fear out there. There was nothing out there. There was no way of contact. I mean, if your car breaks down, you know, it's not like that back then. There was no way. Once you left, you left. You maybe never returned. And a critical thing to understand. A critical thing to understand here. Not only was the proclamation line created to not necessarily to stop citizens from expanding and traveling throughout the country, but it was also created not to create hostility with the Indians and other people, as I just said. So the proclamation line did one thing. It bottled the company, it bottled, like bottlenecks in a company, but it bottled the people from expanding. Just a few years from now, from 1863, you have 1849, the gold rush in California. So think about that. From 1863 to 1763 to 1849. How many years is that? Like 80 something years? That's incredible. And during 1803, how many years is that? The Louisiana Purchase. In the Ohio Territory, up in that area in 1767, only 15 years in the future, so thereabouts, was the Northwest Territory during the Articles of Confederation. The Constitutional Convention. So you look at all this stuff here, and the proclamation line tells you one thing: that the crown didn't want to expand, but the people did. And the proclamation of 1763 was created, why? Because of the Treaty of Paris, the end of the 7 Years' War, didn't want. So all these different parts of the act did one thing: by telling people you can't travel, you can't do this. Yes, you want me to put her down. Um, by traveling, they won't let them people travel. That people do things. Not, I don't mean travel as vacation. I mean travel, expand, explore. Okay, that right there tells me a story. Now, within these acts, a lot of things are happening. People are losing their. They're upset. They're losing their way of living to expand. That's why they left North America before. Now you got to realize at this period of time, it's 1763. The king, England has the colonies for over 100 years. Okay, and this created a difficulty for the king in England to maintain the colonists. And remember, like I just said a few minutes ago, 1776 ain't too far away from this period of time, and the Declaration of Independence and all this stuff. So one of the things we're looking at here is the proclamation line and what it caused. Remember, we have the Stamp Act, the Molasses Act, the Navigation Act, all this other stuff, the Boston Massacre, all this stuff going on, man. With this period, yeah, she won't let me put her down. I keep picking her up. Um, so what I wanted to do here was just do a little broadcast with you guys. I'm back. I'm sorry. On my computer, I had to replace my computer, get a new computer, and get set up again. And you'll see me a couple of times a week here, man, talking history and stuff like that. Okay, guys, I appreciate your man. I just want to do a short video today, just to introduce myself, just do a little broadcast. We're going to do more in the 1760s and all this other stuff, and go back into history. And we'll do talking a lot of stuff. I'm going to show you some cool books I have and everything. But I appreciate you guys coming out of my broadcast. Thank you so much. Have a good day. My name is Joe. We will see you in a couple of days with a new broadcast. Thank you so much. Have a good day. And I just went to short like less than 10 minutes, but that's okay for today. But thank you.